Yo, what's good, fam? Too Fast 18 back. And we got some more Epic 7 news. My last video, I was talking about like Arbiter Vildred and his buffs. Well, Smilegate has released more buffs to the public. Oops, I'm bugging already. More buffs to the public in terms of like certain units. Um, I'm personally not gonna go over all of them. I'm just gonna go over like the unit, mainly just one unit, because it's a unit that I have and I utilize. Not anymore actually, but I used in the past, and I used many different sets on her and tried her out many different ways, and they buffed her. So I want to go over it. Main reason I want to go over it though is because I watch a lot of other YouTubers as well, so I like to see their opinion on things. And everyone, when they just like go over the notes about the character, some that even have her, talking about Judge Kise, that is, I feel like they overlook the buff. They just read it and in plain sight, just like, oh yeah, da, 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 but I feel like they don't give a full on insight of how in depth and how good this buff really is. I like this buff about Judge Kise. It's a start. They could have just left her as is, but they didn't. They actually tried. They're really out here trying to make her kind of OP. And I like that. This is a buff done right, in my opinion, compared to the Arbiter Vildred. See, I have no problem with you buffing, but buff it to where it's not too ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like this shit here with Judge Kise, right? So, as you know, they're changing her so that Judge Kise has a powerful debuff that increased the enemy's cooldown. However, the other aspects of her performance were not as straightforward. Through these balance changes, powerful effects has been added, and adjustments have been made so far to her skills to work better. Blah 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 blah. So, all right, let's jump to her skills, right? So, for those who have Judge Kise, they know, the problems with her. So they plan on changing the way she worked because Will Gear like literally shuts her down. It doesn't matter how fast you make your Judge Key, say how much effectiveness you give her. If you're going against a unit that got like 10 speed added onto their base speed, as long as they got Will Gear on, it don't matter what Judge Key says he's gonna. She just can't do anything. You have to wait like second turn, and if they got immunity buffer, I mean, useless. The unit becomes useless because her DPS, her damage was not significant as well. So anyways, I want to go in depth on how good this buff really is. All right. So End of Evil, that's her S2, right? So it has 75% chance to dispel a buff. Change the soul burn to grant an additional turn. Consumes 20 soul. Now, if you guys don't know, right now that move only consumes 10 souls, so they're increasing it, of course, and increased damage dealt by 11%. Now, I feel like people overlook damage dealt a lot of times. Like, let me explain something to you guys. Any damage dealer or any unit that's getting an increase in damage to a move that's significant, like it does pretty decent damage, anything that's 10% or more is hella good, because you got to remember, in the skill itself, it also has increase of damage. So that's a free increase added on automatically. It's like adding a whole nother tier of Mulligora implications to her for free. Like, what? Nigga, if it was like 5%, I understand. That's like, okay, sure. But 10% and above, in my opinion, that's a good fucking buff. And I'm going to get into even why, right? Next one is her S3, the main fucking skill. Now, this is where I'm like, okay, cool. The chance of increase the enemy's cooldown has been increased from 70 to 75. Cool. I just said, right? If it's like a 5% increase, that's okay. It's not like out of this world. That's dope. Cooldown reduced by 1 turn. I mean, it's available more times to use. Increased damage dealt by 11%. Now, we're going to jump to her as well, so you can see what she has now, right? So, let's go to Hero. Still got her naked. It doesn't matter, though. Look at that S3, man. Look at that S3, right? So, Damage dealt already had 15%. She get another 10%, and then another 15%, and then she get an additional 11% for free from just her getting buffed. Then she gets a turn cooldown, so that goes to 6. So now it's gonna be 5 turn cooldown, right? Look at her S2 now. Attack all enemies. Consume 10 souls. Increase damage dealt. I don't know if they're gonna. I think they're gonna take that away. Yeah, they're gonna take that away to make it like a violent proc. So you get an additional turn now, along with it stripping 1 buff. Look at the damage, right? It's all damage. 5%. 5%. That's what? What do you call it? 30% plus the extra 11 that she's gonna get. Now, I want to speak combo wise of how you can make this significant, right? Because I feel like people are just saying it, but they're not intaking it of how powerful this shit is becoming. Dude, she literally is doing her S2 right now. If you run Says Cleave, you know the whole auxiliary lots thing. Auxiliary lots, you fucking, let's just go to him real quick. I just want to give people an insight, auxiliary lots, right? You run this artifact on him, Tagahel's Ancient Book, receive 19 souls. By the time you do his S2 auxiliary lots, that is 100%. Now you can consume those 2 souls. So now she can do her S2 into her S3 without even Sage, Ball and Cezanne, even ML Bow even cutting you, because you're granted that extra turn automatically. Now you can set his cooldowns so he cannot strip and put to sleep. So in an aspect now, when I was running my Judge Kise back in the days, I built her hybrid. I didn't build her outright speed. I didn't need to, because I was using combat readiness buffers like Shadow Rose and shit like that. You know what I mean? So I try to implement her damage with some speed and effectiveness. Now, just like Arbiter Vildred, if I wanted to, I can just focus on damage and just effectiveness. Reason being is because if I'm doing a combination where I'm pushing her to 100% any fucking way, and she's getting this increasing damage, you gotta remember now. I just want you guys to understand. You gotta remember, she is able to now get 2 moves off. So 1, that's gonna be a strip of will gear or any shield or any little nonsense that's up. If they have no will gear, but they got like MLCC or some shit like that, and they got that barrier, you strip that shit, right? So then you can also apply this damage. This damage is also applying resets, which is crazy. So I just want to give people an insight of a combo you can do. Now, it do include other ML units, but at the same time, I mean, like Smage said, ML units are meant for PvP anyway. So, if you have these units, trust me, you have an advantage. You build your fucking Judge Kise with some fucking crit, like 90% crit or more, 100% if you want to go all the way, and you put her with fucking, let me tell you something. There's this one unit that I've been wanting for the longest. It's a Moonlight unit. I swear if I get her, things will be different in terms of how I go about things. Is this chick right here. You fucking run Oxlots, you run this chick, and you run your Judge Kise, you have a legitimate, you're talking about 2 moves Judge Kise is gonna be doing. 2. And if you build her with enough crit, yo, she's gonna be buffing your entire team because of this chick passive right here. Your entire team can get a turn while cooling down and doing some damage. Yo, if I get her, my team will automatically be Oxlots, Judge Kise, Challenger Dom, and ML Arbiter straight off the fucking bat. That will be my team. All MLs, don't even care. But that's just an example of like OP teams you can now do of a combo like that. You see what I'm saying? You could even run like a Bologna instead of the ML Arbiter to get them defense breaks and shit like that. There's so many, Lilica, all that shit. There's so many new things you can now do because you have an effective way of applying strips. Strips are very OP. As a Summoner World player, we know about Tiana. Tiana is no joke. Imagine if they actually put bomb characters in this game. You got Judge Kise, you pair with that said bomber or anything like that, you good to go. You fucking blowing people up. You see what I'm saying? So that is a dope buff. I like that buff. That's a buff done right. You know, people thought I was just ranted for no reason in my last video, but that's not the case. It's just having buffs done right, my dude. That's all I wanted. Buff done right. Don't like over buff people to where they're just ridiculous now. I don't like shit like that, man. That's kind of lame. It's just making a unit so OP that now it's like a problem to deal with them. Yeah, we're getting Lilibeth and all that type of shit, but we don't even know what her stats look like or anything like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's not right for me to jump to conclusions, but this is just an example of like we have a unit like this right here, and still doesn't say she excludes what do you call it? Passives. You know what I mean? I don't understand why she can't cool down passives. That's another thing Smilegate need to adjust. The minute she can fucking cool down passives, yo, yo, you now have other answers already to deal with Arbiter Vildred. But in that as well, there's another unit, another ML unit I feel that can definitely deal with Arbiter Vildred. That's I feel like if you have this unit, you should definitely like build him all HP, as much HP as possible, and let him tank the hit and hit that motherfucker back with a force, and that's Martial Artist Ken. You know what I mean? Because when you think about it, right? If I run a Says Cleave, right? If I run a Says Cleave, so let's go to my arena real quick. Typical Says Cleave team for me is, let's just go on this guy. This is my typical team, right? So if I replace Helga with Martial Artist Ken, and they have an Arbiter Vildred, Crimson Arm and all that cool shit, right? That Arbiter Vildred is probably hell of attack. No speed, none of that. He don't need that because he's going to come back a new man, right? So I take up that Arbiter Vildred, wipe the rest of their team, and he comes back, he lands and does his S3, and my ML Ken, I'm pretty sure that Arbiter Village is going to have 100% crit rate. That shit hit my ML Ken, take his health all the way down. He survived that shit. When ML Ken does his fucking revenge, that's game. You've won the game. You have won the game. That is my counter so far for Arbiter Vildred. You know, you got Lilibeth, but you have to snipe him. There's a lot of adjusting you would have to do to get to that in the first place. But in insight already, my answer so far is ML Ken. I'm going to change my ML Ken gear around. He's going to be slow, I don't care. But he's just going to be for those Arbiter Vildred teams. Even in Guild War, same thing. You know what I mean? I might save that tower for last so that I can run my Says Cleave with ML Ken. Take out what I need to take out, have him come back, he light my dude up, and I take him uptown, dead. Dead. That's it. That's it, son. So that's my answer, and that's how I feel about the whole Judge Kise thing as well. These are buff done right. You know, there's other units that got buffs and slight nerfs and everything like that, but I'm not going to really go over them because I don't use them, and I don't want to talk about units I don't really have. That's not my forte. You see what I'm saying? I have Judge Kise, and I use the hell out of her. You know what I mean? I definitely use her. Used her. And I feel like that is a buff that's done right. You know, it's not a guaranteed strip. That's another thing that, you know, it's realistic. It's not a guaranteed strip. So it still can be resisted. But how many people build in high resistance with will gear on their unit? Not many. You know what I mean? Because the roles in this game are ridiculous. You know, they're hella ridiculous. So you might have one unit that's like that, like Montmorency. You know what I mean? Like, Not the main units like ML Bal is gonna have high res and will gear. Like, come on. Look at my shit. Got 6% effect resistance. You see what I'm saying? So that's my analysis on the whole Judge Kise thing. Buffs done right. It's not too OP. It is now viable on offense. Not so much on defense, but definitely viable on offense. You can now build her in multiple different ways. You can build her with speed, or you can build her straight damage. That damage increase to her S2 into S3, that's 2 AoE moves. And I'm not even sure if they're going to take away the damage dealt more when there's more enemies. You know what I mean? I don't know if they're going to take that away. They might not. If they don't, I mean, this is a superb move. This shit is also just on 3-turn cooldown. Look at this damage, bro. 10%, 15%. Like, left for me to get plus in a free 11%. That's good damage. This is a warrior. She has decent damage attack. You know what I mean? It's decent. It ain't the best, but it's still decent. Trust me. So definitely when these buffs come out next week, I will be jumping on that. But that's really all I got for today, guys. I hope everyone is happy with this Judge Kise buff because it is a really good buff. It's gonna open up a whole new can of reset. You know, the one character that really had a Tiana type of skill was nerfed without even really, nerfing her. So that's all I got for today. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit, and I'll catch y'all in the next one, man. Have a good day.